Today is episode 5. We're going to talk about how our partners have either been supportive or not supportive during our pregnancy, throughout our pregnancy, through childbirth for you, and then thereafter. What kind of support did you need, and what kind of support did you receive during like first trimester? Do you remember that far?
Yeah, no, today Levi's 9 months old, so this is exactly how long I was pregnant, and now he is 9 months, so it's a funny topic. I remember not finding out until I was 2 months pregnant already. So first trimester kind of flew by, and I think immediately we went into Jacob not letting me do anything mode. He was like, rest, nap, please don't get up, let me do this. And that kind of lasted throughout most of the pregnancy. I think because the first 2 months, like I sat in a hot springs, I went downhill skiing, I ate lunch meat. He was like, oh my God, we did all of these no-nos, so now you've got to be like extra careful and rest as much as you can. I kind of noticed that throughout most of the pregnancy. He brought me my lunch plate or my dinner plate and took it to the dishwasher. He made all of my meals. Very protective and also extremely cautious, because I think he thought I was really delicate at the time. I don't know. So yeah, I noticed a lot of him wanting to kind of take over the situation and be kind of Papa Bear. What are you noticing with Isaac so far?
I'm noticing with Isaac during first trimester, he was like the opposite. I think because he was just like, oh, just you're gaining weight. Like, so it wasn't like, oh, you're pregnant. And so he still was like, we've been doing home remodeling. So he was still like, oh, you can do this, this, and this. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I can't lift this. I can't, like, all the physical work that like we had been doing, I all of a sudden just like couldn't help out with certain stuff. So I think I was a little bit more cautious, but from the beginning and even throughout my whole pregnancy, Isaac is a very supportive partner in the sense of like he doesn't like he makes most of the meals. He makes me breakfast every morning. He usually brings it in bed. He's like, did you do this? Did you take your prenatals? Have you eaten? Did you drink water? Like that kind of stuff. So that's really sweet. And I've actually needed that because I've had like baby brain and I have been forgetting so many things. But with that being said, he's also been like, oh, you can do this. Like, let's work out or let's, go for a walk. And it's like we go for a walk and he's like briskly running and I'm like, like we're like my body can't do the same things it used to do. And so I think that alone has been kind of like he's kind of been both sides of the spectrum, but for the most part he's been extremely supportive, which has been really good.
Speaking of support, what are your hopes for when you're in the delivery room and he's next to you? What are you hoping that you get from him?
Well, I'm a little bit nervous about that, and that is because we had a little scare in second trimester where I went into preterm labor, and I was
I
having
remember this
full,
story.
I was having full blown contractions, and I was like doing the whole, like breathing, everything, like full blown contractions, and I ended up like throwing up, and I had to get in like the bath, and um, Isaac was trying to be supportive by being by my side, but at one point he brought a pillow into the bathroom and fell asleep on the floor. And with Jet, our dog, cuddled up to him, and I almost like that night I couldn't deal with it, but the next day I was like fearful of like, what is childbirth going to be like? Are you going to be curled up on the couch taking a nap?
Got this.
But like, I think when the real deal comes, like, he'll probably be different. And plus, we've had a very in-depth conversation about that night, and he understands what my needs are now. And what those are is I need that physical touch, that attention. Like, I need you to like check on me and ask me, how am I feeling? What do you need? being like attentive for sure. So I have like, a list of a few things that are of priority, and hopefully we can go over that and he can attend to those specific needs for the birth itself. Was Jacob, how was Jacob during childbirth with you, and did you receive all the support that you needed?
I didn't go into it knowing what I was going to need. I just knew that I didn't want him to annoy me. And he did a really good job of not annoying. Like, well, you'll understand once you actually give birth, you'll realize like there's so much going on in there that the last thing that I needed at the time was another person like telling me what I needed to be doing or push harder or something like that. So, the support conversation, we didn't have one of those. I didn't tell him what I needed. I kind of just was hoping that he would figure it out, and he did a really good job of rolling with the punches, I guess. He whispered a lot, and it was mostly a lot of affirmations like, hey, you're doing a really good job, like keep doing what you're doing. And we had a really obnoxious nurse that she came in, and I don't know what she was doing in there. She wasn't my delivery nurse, but she was talking about how our baby should date because she was pregnant. And Jacob was like, tune her out. It's okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. He also told me to stop apologizing to the doctor because I kept apologizing for not being able to get Levi out. And she was like, okay, you're doing everything right. No need to apologize. You've got this. He was really sweet. He was soft spoken, and it was exactly what I needed from him in the moment, even though I wasn't sure going to need going into it.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's good. We've done one, what is it? Not Lamaze, but we did one like birthing class. And we did it like a yoga studio with like a yoga teacher who also does the birthing stuff on the side and is like certified. And that was, I thought at the time maybe it was helpful, but looking back now, I feel as though it was more or less like a joke. And so I'm hoping that maybe some of those tips, I took the tips home and like remember them and feel like, oh, it was useful. I'm hoping that some of those tips will be useful for Isaac. We actually we just talked to our doctor last week, and she was like, the one thing I would suggest doing, and it's not technically a birthing class or a Lamaze class, would be to do a lactation class and a newborn course. And she's like, you can do those newborn courses online. And so we're actually going to sign up for one of those this coming week. So hopefully, I don't know if that'll be beneficial either. I think a lot of it's like intuition, and it's all changes like in the spur of the moment. But I feel like we're not trying to be overly prepared, but at the same time, we don't, I feel like we need some preparation.
speaking of like your doctor's appointments and everything, I'm not sure if you have the same experience, but every time we left the doctor's appointment, Jacob, I know you have a different experience because of COVID. Obviously, Isaac can't go with you to all of yours. I can't imagine Jacob not being there for mine because in each of the appointments, no joke, like information went in one ear and right out the other for me. I couldn't retain anything that this doctor was telling me. So Jacob would get out to the car and he'd kind of like brief me on what just happened. And he'd say, okay, this week we need to schedule, like we need to go tour the hospital, and hey, you need to watch this video, or you need to make sure you're doing this and scheduling this appointment. So he was also really good in that kind of aspect because my pregnancy brain just wouldn't let me hold on to any information.
Yeah, it was really helpful when Isaac was coming with me to the doctor's appointments. One, just for support in general, and we both enjoyed going. But the other thing was, I would try to relay information or ask questions afterwards, and he'd be like, no, 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 this is really how it is, or this is what we need to do. So it was like very similar where we were kind of bouncing off of each other, where I would retain some of it and he would retain some of it, and we'd be like, oh, okay, that's what they were telling us to do, or
Oh, that's how
putting
you
us on.
get that baby out.
Yeah, exactly. And how
We
has Jacob been as far as support? while Levi was like a newborn?
Newborn was difficult. I didn't really know what I needed. I know you and I talked a lot, and I was getting frustrated because I felt like I didn't have enough me time or time for self-care, or whatever you want to call it. I have a really hard problem asking for help because I feel like it makes me weak, or it makes me look like I can't do this, which that's an ego thing. I know that. But it's really hard to let go of and ask people for help. So, and Jacob was still, he had his job where he was traveling a lot during the first few, I want to say weeks, I think just weeks, not months. It was really difficult. That whole time to me is honestly a blur. I feel like it was difficult for me to ask for what I needed because I didn't know what I needed. Um, so I know, like, obviously everybody gives you all kinds of advice and whatnot, but if you can, like, think ahead of what you might, like, set aside 15 minutes for yourself or something. Nowadays I don't have to ask for anything. He comes home, he picks Levi up, they go do their guy thing. He has him when I work on Saturdays, he has him all day on Saturday. So that's really nice because it's like a whole day to my, not really to myself because I'm still working, but like they bro out or whatever you call it. And so we kind of got into this rhythm. Once again, I'm really bad at having these conversations where I ask for what I need. It seems to just somehow flow into it, and I don't know, it's just been working. He Sometimes we get into little, like, not arguments or anything, but I'll be like, hey, you need to do this, go bathe your son because I had him all day, and he's like, yeah, okay, cool, just tell me what you need. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is what I need you to bathe him. Great, cool. So yeah, it's been, I don't know, it's a good flow that we've got with the whole parenting thing right now. How do you think Isaac's gonna, you think he'll anticipate what you need, or are you gonna have to ask for everything?
Well, I know I have to ask for everything because he's not like an anticipating kind of guy, and we've gone over this over the last 2 years. We know this about our relationship, and he's extremely attentive and supportive when it comes to his way, which is like, your acts of, what is it, the acts of love or whatever. He's an action person, and I'm more of like a feeler. And so, yeah, I will definitely have to ask for what I need. And I need to get better at that too, because I have the same sort of feeling behind it where I either forget to ask or I assume you should just know. I'm like, well, you should just know what I need. But it's like, we're not mind readers. Nobody's a mind reader. And really what it comes down to is communicating. And I think that if we communicate, I think that, it'll be great. I think that he will be able to be the supportive partner that I'm going to need.
I think he's going to be great. He's been so good with Levi, and I feel like he's going to be one of those people that's just like naturally dad instinct kick in. One of those dads you see on TV that stops a bus or something. Like, I just feel like I don't know why. I'm excited
Well,
to
it sounds like both of our partners have been really supportive, which is great. Um, that's important for a mom to be, and a mother, and we're very grateful.
I'm extremely grateful. And it's not just the mom, like the dad has to definitely step in there and help out where he can. So,
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for watching episode 5. We'll see you next time.